So what I want us to do is to start becoming more conscious, start choosing things in a better way for ourselves, and start creating a life that's going to gear us to really take advantage of the opportunities that are going to show up for us in the years to come.
This podcast is brought to you by The Integrated Human. We work up, down, inside out to plug yourself into your potential. If you want to see what we are up to and what's next, sign up to our newsletter or follow us on social media. If you like what we are doing, we really appreciate it if you can like our post on social media and YouTube and help us grow.
All right. Welcome to the Big and Small Podcast. I'm Jason Shields and I'm big.
And I'm Marit Gabrielsen and I'm the tiny one.
So we are going to Mind Valley
University.
That's it. So we have been straight up invited / headhunted to
Slash applied.
Yep. To give our best on the big stage at the Mind Valley Convention in Tallinn, Estonia. So if you are in Estonia, show up.
Well, you have to be a Mind Valley member, so.
Well, then do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get up. Let's go. So basically, I will be giving the first lecture at 10 o'clock in the morning on Monday about understanding mysticism and philosophy. And then the tiny one.
I'm going to have a talk at 2:30 about turning emotion into fuel.
That's it.
And Siv is finishing off the week
The week.
on Friday with NIT.
Yes, teaching.
What's it called? A crash course in NIT.
Yeah, neurogenic integration technique.
Yeah, because that a lot of things has happened in the Integrated Human the last couple of months.
Yep.
Some of the people that have been to a lot of a group session kind of have known that things have been happening.
Yeah, they can feel it.
Yeah, what we basically have done is that your wife, Siv, Yesang Shields, she's kind of been a support member, but now she's official member in the Integrated Human.
A full captain.
Full captain, where she will basically take the body work, because we say we work up, down, inside, out.
That's it.
And she really is good at using NIT.
Yeah.
She uses Soma Brass, she uses heart math, and it's just a different approach.
Correct.
Like we know when you have a process, when you work, sometimes you want silence, which is the most difficult thing. Sometimes you want music, sometimes you need something physical, sometimes you want beats. It's different times requires different things.
Yeah.
And it's actually just expanding what we are able to provide our clients. And from in September, we will also then have the first online course.
Yeah, that's it.
In neurogenic
integration
technique.
Yes.
Also formerly known as trauma releasing exercises.
Yes.
But for the people now that has done theory now called NIT, if you have friends that haven't been living in Voss, they can now actually join online in September. And that's available now for the people that want to do that. So that's been happening.
Yeah.
Very excited about that. I think it's going to take everything. Well, I know it's going to take everything to a new level.
Oh, yeah.
We also have opened. I'm doing this because you do it properly. You should do the newsletter first and all that. But, fuck it. We were fully booked out for the event in September.
Yeah.
So we got a waiting list.
Yeah.
Well, it's booked, so I can't do anything with that. So we set up the next one. The Full State Continuum event is going to be in February.
Yeah, I think the September event sold out in 3 weeks? 6 weeks?
6 weeks.
Yeah.
So we are expanding.
Yep.
Since we have a waiting list, we expanding. So next time we have even more seats. And that's in February. You can follow the link underneath this podcast to get to that.
Yeah.
It's going to be very interesting.
Yeah. You guys gotta show up because we're selling out quickly and
people are leveling up and feeling the change. You show up.
Yeah, and I think some of the people now, you can really see their life changing, and it makes it very humble for the process people have. And I have to say, I was talking to one of our clients the other day, and we had a group session, and everybody that's gone to an event are welcome to join the different group sessions.
Yeah.
And she said that she had a friend, and we talk a lot about process. It's your process. You need to acknowledge your process. And her friend was kind of into it and was interested, but at the same time, she didn't like the word process. And I understand that, because the same way I was, I don't know, it's gonna be the wrong word, burn victim for the word meditation.
Yeah.
Like, the word is so inflamed for you.
Yeah, exactly. The associations are just not good.
Yeah. So in Norway, you have usually that to the word stress. I know. Trauma is one of those words. We don't have trauma. So that's an inflamed word. Meditation for me was super inflamed, because I thought that I had to smell like weed and look like
Have dreadlocks.
weed
Yeah, look like
to meditate.
Yeah.
Turns out I don't.
Yeah.
And I think if you've been with a lot of people that has misused words like process,
Yes.
because they haven't, if they say the words but they don't do it, so
Yeah.
the words become
Meaningless.
meaningless.
Or they mean something that they shouldn't mean.
Yeah.
That's the associations become so strong. It detracts or distracts from what you're trying to communicate.
Yeah, I think that happens a lot.
Yeah, it does. It really does.
Unfortunately. And I really hope this lady will show up to one event so she can understand that we don't talk to processes, but we do process.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of interesting things happening.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm super excited. And there's an interesting thing. Somebody asked me, Jason, you say that everything has a basis in the nervous system. So, and I thought it was a pretty good question. And I said, yeah. And he said, well, then why is it that our mothers and fathers and teachers and preachers load us up with all that crap?
Well, doesn't the nervous system take it in like everything else?
Yeah, but he said, but why? Why do we need that? Why do we need all of these ideas and paradigms and shame structures and all the crazy shit that happens? And I said, okay, so are you ready? Or are you just asking? Do you want to really know, or are you just asking? And he's like, well,
no. I don't want to know.
Don't want to. Yeah. He's like, when you put it that way, no, I don't want to know. But there's something called an explosion of combinational complexity. And he was like, what? And I'm like, explosion of combinational complexity. And he says, well, what do you mean by that? And I said, well, think about this. What's simpler? A game of chess or your life? And he's like, oh, definitely chess. I'm like, yeah. So if you take a chessboard and you think that each side's going to move on average 60 times, like if you watch, Magnus Carlsen playing chess, the number of possible positions on the board in that 120 move game is larger. Now, this is going to freak you out a little bit. It's larger than the number of atoms in the universe. The number of possible combinations in that chess game of 120 moves is larger. They've calculated it's larger than what they believe is the number of atoms in the universe, not in the solar system, not in your shoe, in the universe. So that's an explosion of complexity. And he's like, oh shit. Okay. And I'm like, that's just a chessboard. And you said your life's more complicated. So
I
the
actually would have said the opposite.
yeah,
I don't understand chess. So.
Well, you don't understand, but you like chess.
Yeah,
You like to watch it.
Yeah.
But the point here is that the number of bits of information that you have to take in all the time are so large that there's no way that you can actually make a logical decision. You have to select among the giant amount of information coming in. Like we talked about that in the integrated human, that you have like a football field of information, and what you can be aware of is like smaller than a postage stamp, right? You have to be able to select what is relevant from what is not relevant in your life, right?
So you put up filters.
So you put up a filter and a structure, right? And because your mamas and your papas and
Including
your preachers and your teachers are trying to keep you alive and trying also not to get killed by you, they put up all of these structures in order to contain your focus, a place where you are controllable, but also that you can control your life. What's important for you? What's important for them? What's important, right? So without that ability to filter out, you wouldn't be able to function. And the idea that you do things logically is just an idea.
yeah, well, they're only logical according to your filters.
According to your filters, and that happens at the speed of light.
That was actually that happens because my mom told me this. It was many years ago. It was we live in Voss. It's it's not in the middle of nowhere, but it's a tiny town in Norway. And we had just I think it was late 90s, but it was some refugees are coming to Voss, and we don't have a lot of commute transportation here.
Yeah, communal transportation.
Yeah,
exactly. People drive because
you have to drive. There's too big distances, and there was this guy from Africa.
Yeah.
Black, been living in the savannah type, and he
straight
was
up Kenya.
something. I can't remember the country, but you know, if you understand the background, and he was standing at the downtown underneath a pole of light, it's the middle of summer, because he didn't dare to walk those 5 kilometers home to where he lived.
Yeah.
And why he stood, I can't remember, but the point was that someone had asked him, why didn't you just walk? No, because of the lions.
Yeah.
Because where he lived, where he came from, that was actually, you couldn't, when it was dark outside, you did not walk.
Yeah.
You kind of, you
know that wild animals will take you.
Well, the biggest thing that can take your hair is a hedgehog.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
they're so cute.
Yeah, you can injure yourself.
Yeah, but also,
but that's the thing. He had his filters.
He has his filters,
and they hadn't been adapted to the Norwegian culture yet, because he didn't know
Norwegian culture and environment.
Yeah, he didn't know that it wasn't maybe not a tiger or lion here, but a wolf or a bear. Or he only knew from his filters that when it's dark outside, you don't walk when there's no light.
Yeah, so he stood underneath that light, that street light,
and waited until it was
light outside.
Dawn again, and then he walked home.
Yeah, exactly. And that's really the situation, because if you are bound by these filters that are set up, you can never be in flow, because those filters, yes, keep you alive. And as you're becoming aware of yourself, you start to take them off, but they're not necessarily situationally appropriate. So that gentleman was standing underneath the light all night long, waiting for the dawn, and could have easily walked home, because hedgehogs aren't that dangerous.
Not the Norwegian one. It's
right.
tiny. It's not the big American ones.
Exactly. Yeah. We're not talking about like porcupines, like from Africa either. They're itsy bitsy. Tiny. They're super cute. And the whole point is that getting information, understanding, orientate yourself, all of that is necessary. And of course, we will always have situations where we rely on our old knowledge before we get new knowledge, right? But it has to do with how we're actually also reacting and relating to our environment. So, for example, one of the greatest skills that Marat has, that I have, is coachability. And coachability is two things. Number one, it's being open for information. And number two, it's accepting it with the least amount of resistance once it's evaluated to be good. The way you progress is to be able to take in information and take in stimulus from the environment and then transform that into something useful for you and express it. It's in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, up, down, inside out, just like we were saying. The things that are keeping you from being able to transform that information coming in and put it back out into the world in a way that's functional for you are your trauma dramas, like old things. Like, for example, if I was a victim of people making fun of me, for example, then I may always expect people to be making fun of me when they talk to me. Or if people are asking me a question, if it was one of those criticizing questions, instead of people just actually wanting to know what I'm doing, like, hey, what you doing? You know, do I take that as, oh, how dare you? I have the right to do my thing, and you criticizing me, asking a question? Or is it, oh, I'm cleaning the kitchen. Oh, can I help? You know, how do you react to the information or the situations coming in? That's one level. And the other way is, how free do you feel to express yourself? You know, for example, I love to sing in the shower. I may not have always gotten praise for singing in the shower. So do I then dare to sing in the shower? Do I dare to sing at all?
Yes, you do.
Yes, I do. Right?
We have locker rooms next to each other.
Yes, we do.
I'm like, there he goes.
There he goes again, right? And that's the whole thing, to kind of, in a way, release yourself, to not let past crap keep you from doing future good, right, in your life. So it's about being able to take in that blockage free, and it's about to be able to give that back in a functional way, blockage free. And neurointegrative, like neurogenic integrative technique, helps people shake it loose, get rid of the old crap that's blocking the way in, and then reorganizing your filters and your frames and your understanding of the universe through the flow state continuum weekends and the work that Maudit's doing with transforming those emotions into fuel. That is the way to supercharge your life. And these processes are something that almost everybody will need at some point, because you're going to get to a certain place and you're not moving forward. And there's a blockage somewhere. Is it your belief systems? Is it the way you talk to yourself? Is it the way you praise or punish yourself while you're working? Is it something that you can't take in? And again, this explosive complexity that comes up when you're working and when you're looking and you're checking your filters. Are you actually focusing on the right things in your life? That postage stamp that we were talking about, where are you placing it? Are you looking for all the places that it could go wrong? Or are you looking at all your opportunities that are constantly showing up? So,
And how many? I just have to add.
please.
Well, you kind of, because I think often we also focus on what everybody else has done to you.
Yeah.
How they don't show up.
Yeah.
How they should show up.
Yep.
How they should treat you.
Hallelujah.
And I find that in the process that I had and having, the outside does not matter.
No.
I like to live comfortable. I like a nice car.
Yeah.
But the outside does not matter. Who acknowledged my pain
Who cares?
doesn't matter, because
No.
it's my pain.
Yeah.
And if it's the Queen of England, King of England,
King of England, yeah.
may she rest in peace. I'm a Queen fan, so
Yeah.
Not Queen the
Band.
band, but Queen the Elizabeth. Anyways, Kingsguard.
Woo, woo.
Yay. Digression. If it's the King of England acknowledging our pain, or if it's a friend, it doesn't matter because nothing of that will change the actual fact.
They're actually powerless.
And every time they do, I'm actually just getting suffocated even more.
Yeah.
Because the pain you have, and I feel that especially in today's society because of the whole, what's it called? Sensitivity thing. You have sensitivity readers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that like, you know, they took like Roald Dahl and they took like a sensitivity reader about his books, like Charlie and Chocolate Factory.
Yeah.
And they erase words because
No.
yes.
Ooh.
Yeah, different conversation.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Now I'm shocked. I'm shocked.
Now you're shocked. Okay.
I'm shocked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but
It's
that,
classics.
it's often, of course, because we've gotten to the point where the outside needs to acknowledge my suffering, my uniqueness, how I'm feeling, how I'm strangling with the tools of the world. Yeah, well, you actually speak to it now. But that's my point, and I find it. We need to stop blaming everybody on the outside for how we're treating ourselves, how our life is shitty or good.
Yeah.
We can acknowledge and build together. Like if someone helps you, you help them. You're connecting together, you network, you build
Yeah.
together. But in the bottom line is the work you're doing, how you think, how you feel, how you react, how you work up, down, inside out.
Yeah.
That's going to determine.
That's it.
But we're so focused on the other way.
Yeah. And the outside world, metaphysically, is a reflection of your inside world. But your inside world produces your focus. And that's what changes it. It's not like, there's a whole thing about, the secret. If I just want it bad enough, I'm going to get myself a Mercedes-Benz. I'm going to sit on my couch and think about that Mercedes-Benz. Ooh, if I have that Mercedes on the inside, I'm going to get that Mercedes on the outside. So, God, why didn't you give me my Mercedes-Benz last week? Because I wanted it real bad. Mm-hmm. That is not the way it works. It's about where is the focus that you're applying to your outside world, but that's built on the inside. Who you are on the inside determines the outside, yes. Which means that where do you start? On the outside or on the inside?
Inside.
That's it. And that's exactly the secret. You are the secret then, because you work and formulate your belief system, your focus, your drive based on things that would naturally give you that thing or that result. It's like when you saw me win the world championship, okay? Were you surprised?
No. You
weren't. It was a natural of course. It was of the course. It was a part of the course, of course.
But it's kind of we apply it to, because when we're going to Mind Valley University next week, and we are there when this podcast is released because we don't bring our microphones, and you get super excited and happy and grateful when it kind of said, hi, we want you to have this talk, but at the same time it's like, yes, of course you want to have that, because what I'm speaking about is not bullshit.
Exactly. And the work that you've done previously,
and
the merits you have in the World Championship, the training that you've done, all the times that you showed up, the people you associate with, the way you present yourself, all of those things create a natural, of course, it's of the course that you sit in that spot.
Yeah.
And nobody questions that. Of course you're going to be on the stage. Like, who else is going to stand there except for you?
I don't know.
No, but that's the whole point.
It's my spot.
That's your spot. It's kind of like, who's going to sit here? No, me.
Yeah, it's your spot.
You. This is my spot. And nobody asks if that's my spot. It's my spot.
It's kind of like you talk a lot about when in the club at least, that if you want to become the world champion, you need to become the person that is the world champion. And it's very hard to understand that. But if you actually hear the words, you feel into them. If you want your life to be better, you need to become the person that makes the choices that makes your life better.
Yes.
It's not just you're not just gonna wake up one day and everything's fixed. It's not gonna happen. It's
That's it.
kind of it just doesn't function that way. You have to decide that you want to have it better. So you need to, and then you start making the choices that makes your life better. Small bites at a time, not the giant one, because that's kind of like, I'm going to start training. I have never trained before, and now I'm going to train 5 times a week. Doesn't work. You're going to fall right back in the ditch again. But if you make small adjustments, that means that that postage stamp of you just starts to slightly change the focus and perspective. And then it doesn't actually take that long for it to change completely.
No, it's
Just a little bit at a time.
Yeah, that's it. And it gets momentum. That's the whole point. Your life has momentum. It's kind of like, you start winning in competitions if you want to be a competitor, and it just snowballs. Suddenly you can't be beaten, So where the change is in the actual resistance that you have on the inside to the resistance you have on the inside to the changes that need to be made. Think about it. I'm going to repeat that one more time. It's the suffering and the resistance that you have on the inside to the changes you need to make in order to be successful. If you have no resistance to those things, there's no suffering, and it goes fast. But if you hate your life, you hate training, you hate getting up early in the morning, you hate, eating a certain way, you hate lifting weights, you hate all that stuff, and everything's just horrible and it's just super heavy, then you have an issue. And then you're not that person. That person does those things not because they're motivated to do it. It's just because that's what you do. There's no question. It's not like I don't use any energy when I'm going to training. It's just what I do.
Yeah,
I don't get up early. I hate my life. I have to get up early tomorrow. I just get up. There's no resistance because that's what I do. And the question is, what is it that you do?
I think what's it called? Kind of light bulb thing.
Yeah.
When I was, and still have, when those hit, is that I get angry.
Yeah.
I get angry, and then I know, now I'm starting to get repetitions on it. So I know when, for instance, you give me information and I go, fuck you. Then I go, oh, that's something to work on. Because if I don't go sometimes because of many repetitions now, I go, okay. Because I can see it straight away. But often the things are a little bit more kind of immersed into the body, into the patterns. Because anger is one of my fallbacks. I kind of go, fuck you. And I know when I feel that feeling, I go, something to look at here. This is interesting. Because if I have that reaction, that emotional reaction, there's something that's gold underneath there. Because then I know if I fix that, I'm going to just expand it more.
Exactly.
But like we were having this conversation with someone a while back, and we were having a philosophy. Well, you were speaking philosophy. I don't know the names of those guys. So, but you were speaking philosophy, and talking about what we do, and we were sitting, and he just said, "It's not that I'm criticizing or anything," and he said it like that with his arms across, and I just looked at him, and I'm saying, "We're pushing some buttons now, and you can't see that, and you can't feel that, but if you start to get to look at your own reaction pattern, that's when you can really start to make quick changes because." You try to find yourself where you react.
Yeah.
And that's a good exercise. Where do you react?
Exactly. And one of the things that a great coach has, and you have this as well, is like, have you ever seen that movie Matrix where, Mr. Smith, Agent Smith, like pulls his gun out and starts shooting at Neo, and Neo's like doing these things, avoiding the bullets. That's kind of like a coach avoiding all the fuck yous, It's like pew, 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 because they're coming, But the point is that the people who are working in a way effortlessly have more energy to apply to the work. the people who are first reacting like a motherfucker to what you're saying, even though you've very consciously been watching them and evaluating how to help them. And then you finally find the key, and then you're going to give that to them, and they're just fucking horribly angry at you and think you're a dickhead for saying anything. And then when they finally take that shit in and they start to digest a little bit and they start to work with it and they try everything else. And of course, all the guys say, oh, I can do something from there, or they find an alternative way of looking at it, or they try 17 other things before they're actually going to try what you said, because they definitely don't want to take any fucking feedback from you, even though you're the coach. And then it finally lands and you prove to them 14 fucking times that that's the way it has to be. Then they start working on it. And then they have to go through the repetition and do it wrong 70 times. And then when they finally are realizing that it works, they go, oh, look at what I put together.
I think that's amazing.
And you don't think I'm doing this. I actually have many examples of this, and Mauda's laughing because she knows.
It's so funny.
It's so funny. And then you're like, yeah, good job.
Well done,
Good job.
Joey.
Yeah, good job, Joey. And the point is that we could have just stopped and said, okay, do this, and do it 5 times, slow down, do it consciously, integrate it, and then you're good. And then you can just level up again, right? But that whole system, that whole thing that just happened there, my question to you, my friends, is this: how much do you do that to yourself?
Oh, all the time.
Exactly.
I think the best thing there is that what happens also is that if I've been there, and that's why I can speak about it. But then you look at the people that didn't do their whole tour, and you go, "Those motherfuckers cheated."
Yeah, what are they doing? What are they doing?
They instead of they just took right straight away instead of went left.
Yeah,
and that's opposite. But it's just fascinating but that's why I also find talking about processes, like I said in the beginning, is that you as a coach, a trainer, someone that when we have our events, you also just free yourself because you understand that, my job is to mention things 80,000 times if necessary.
Yeah, that's a
and
coach.
that day you're ready, I'm ready.
Yeah, and get flamed.
Oh yeah, you get flamed.
And come back with sizzling hair and smelling like Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens, right?
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the job and I think that's so important because, and I wish people will start looking at the other way, that they can take coaching quicker. But at the same time, it's a fascinating process to watch.
It is.
And it's extremely, that feeling I get inside when you see that they're finally starting to understand.
Wow.
It's so priceless also.
It's
because you see their potential, but when they start to realize what they're doing to themselves, you can really start to see it's starting to lose.
Yep.
And when it does, and although they go, look what I put together, you kind of you're so grateful and happy for the finally starting to evolve. But then we get back to something that we talked about in the beginning of my process, and that is to acknowledge the people that helps you, acknowledge the people that supports you.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, I said, yeah, everything comes from the inside.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's your process. It is everything comes from the inside of you. But you're stronger together, and acknowledging the people that help you become more and better.
Yeah.
Only builds you. It doesn't take from your process to acknowledge that this is the technique or help you got from X.
Yeah, because the outside world reflects your inside world. And when you're respecting the outside world, you're also respecting your inside world. That's just what it is. You walk with grace and you live in grace. Exactly. It does not diminish you to cooperate with other people, and doesn't diminish you to have received from other people. And that's correct. And it's a funny process, and it's a very difficult process because, the interesting thing is that you never learn so much about your process than when you become a coach yourself. Because before I used to learn from my process, but now I'm learning from everybody else's process because the puzzles that I had to solve inside myself in order to make myself friction free inside, that weirdly enough doesn't always apply to other people because they have different sets of parameters. They have filters. They have different filters. They have different cultures. They have different traumas. They have different ideas of what they want. They have different ways of understanding what they want. They have different limits that sometimes are real limits and sometimes aren't limits at all. And they don't even know it. It's like, what's real for them? And weirdly enough, what's real for me may not be what's real for them. And that's actually part of this nervous system thing that we were talking about because, we talk about how we have an explosive development of complexity, right? And we sort and filter the outside world for what's relevant. And what's relevant is based on our filters. But that's not it, kids. It's not, we don't stop there. Your perception of the universe and the way things work and what things mean are 100% projections from your inside. What something means to Maudit may not be the same thing it means to me at all. And that's the weird thing with communication. So, we can both agree that there's a map on the table. But when we start walking a course in the outside world, our experiences can be completely different, even though we agreed on the map. And that is so fascinating. And that's the great work of being a human being. And then having to work with other people's experience in that map as a coach is fascinating. It is amazing. And it's terrifying and horrifying and thrilling and very amazing, graceful and beautiful, and you just see that unbelievable miracle that it is to be a human being when you see a person that you've been working with achieve what they want and become who you know they can be and who they want to be. It's so cool.
So then I have a task for listeners, and I would love to get feedback on it because we talk a lot about different principles and different, and one of the things that we do mention on is that postage stamp, that what your mind can your mind is as big as a football field, but you can only focus on a postage stamp. Then my first question is, if you're listening, when you're listening, what are you focusing on? And I think many are going to have issues answering that because it's not consciously chosen. So then if you don't know and you go, I don't know, choose something and choose that thing for a week and find something that will remind you to choose that thing. So if it's going to be looking for blue cars, which you can do, or if it's going to be looking for yellow flowers or finding gracefulness or happiness, choose something to focus on for a week. And then write to us and say what you experienced.
I like that.
That's a challenge.
That's beautiful.
What are you focusing on? And if you don't know, choose something.
Choose something.
I don't care what. Can be a blue car. And write to us and say what happened. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. All right. Remember, you matter. Unless you multiply yourself by the speed of light squared, then you're energy. But if you can't be energy, matter.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. We hope you felt we added something to your day and hopefully your life. If you want to learn more, subscribe to our newsletter and find us at integrated-human.com. That is integrated-human.com. Integrated Human on YouTube and other social media platforms. Have a great day and thank you again for listening. Love, light, and upgrade from us at the Integrated Human team.